the chief bridesmaid, Noelle, to come up and say a couple of words on behalf of the bridesmaids. Please put your hands together for Noelle, please. There you go. He's a speech rehearsed and everything.
I know. This is perfectly rehearsed. Well, I'm not much of a sappy person, but I'll say good luck with Kevin, Jen. I'm just kidding. I wish them both a really long and happy life together and everything they ever want, and that's it. Thank you. I know that was really bad, but I found out tonight that I had to make a speech. Do I have to follow something? Oh. Does anybody else want to talk?
Noelle, everybody. Put your hands together, please. Okay, so for everybody who thought that the start was the best man speech, you were wrong. There's lots to come. This is the edited version. PC. Okay, so hello ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin my speech, I'd like to take a few minutes. And I need to make a confession. And this may shock some people. Okay? I need all your attention. Although I'm 100% Irish, I don't know any leprechauns and I can't hook you up with any Lucky Charms. I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kevin. I'm Peter. Really? You just got married? Maybe told.
Are you drunk?
I'm Peter, Kevin's younger brother. It's great to be set up here because after all these years, Kevin has finally admitted that I am the best man. Before I begin, I would like to ask Jennifer to place her left hand on the table. And Kevin, would you place your right hand on top of Jennifer's, please? For the whole speech. All will be revealed in time, folks. Okay, before I undertake the customary duty of giving Kevin an uncomfortable few minutes, it is part of my official duty and pleasure to thank the groomsmen, Ivan and Phaedra. Please give them a round of applause. Who have been a great support to myself and to the wedding. To all the people who came to celebrate this very special day, especially to the ones who travelled all the way from Ireland. Could you give them a round of applause, please? I'd also like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Porco for being so nice and accommodating to their new extended family. So if you give them a round of applause, please. To Mrs. Rose, our wee mommy, and our Auntie Carmel for making the trip and for being our shining stars. We thank you as well. And last but not least, the bridesmaids, Carmel, Noelle and Jessie, for being part of a really special day. I have to say they all look absolutely beautiful and have done an excellent job. Indeed, they are only eclipsed by Jennifer herself, who you'll all agree looks absolutely stunning today. I suppose the first thing the best man should explain is how he knows the groom. Well, me being his identical twin, we met long ago, probably before we could even remember. There's nothing I wouldn't do for Kevin, likewise there's nothing Kevin wouldn't do for me. In fact, we spent most of the time not doing anything for each other. As is customary for the best man speech, I needed to tell a story. I struggled to find a story about Kevin that I could tell that wouldn't reflect too badly on him. So in my desperation, I turned to the one thing that could save me. No, not drink, the internet. There I found loads of ready-made speeches with everything that I could have hoped for. These speeches were sure enough to make me the best man ever. I should have done a grammar check. And all for the low price of $10. I mean, that was only €7 in our money. That was brilliant. But to my astonishment, folks, I found that I wasn't so unlike my oldie brother. And I didn't want to pay the $10 to get it. Come on, you can keep clapping for that one. So I reached deep into my heart and found 3 possibilities of stories that I can tell you today. The first one was about the time he hit me in the face with a guitar, pretending to be El bong. The second being about the time we were playing blind man's buff as children, and instead of directing me into the doorway of our house, directed me into our new and very sharp and pebbled ash wall. But I decided not to tell any of these stories as it might make them look bad. And then there was the third one, and here it is. And I'm laying on a grenade for this one, folks. Every summer, Kevin and I would spend about 2 weeks at our auntie's house in a place called Letterkenny, where we live. Oh, well, this one summer proved to be unforgettable. One evening, my cousin Eamon was travelling into town to meet a couple of his buddies to have a good old drink. So Kevin asked, could he go? Eamon thought, sure, why not? There's no harm in it. So after about 2 hours in the pub, Eamon turns around and can't find Kevin anywhere. And he decides to go look for him. After about 5 minutes of looking for Kevin, he sees him barely standing at the bar, talking to some guy who's been giving Kevin drinks all night. 16 years old, folks. So he's in such bad shape that my cousin Eamon has to put him in a taxi and send him home. So at about 10:15, a taxi man knocks at my auntie's door and says, I've got a young fella here who's had too much to drink. He's fallen in the garden. So we all automatically think it's Eamon. So there in the garden lays Kevin, looking like he's drank a Guinness truck. And Mum gets the smell of drink and realises he's drunk. So they pick him up and take him into my auntie's house, and he starts to feel a bit nauseous. I don't think I need to describe what happened next. So after he settled down and pulled himself together, Mum suggests we put him into bed. So we all help to put him in. Mum stays with him, and we all head off to the kitchen for the drink that solves every problem. Tea. So after about 5 minutes, 10-year-old me heads back into the bedroom to see how he's doing. And Mum is still there, and she says to me, he keeps turning to sleep flat on his back. I can't let him do that. He could choke if he gets sick. Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. This story's really long. There's 15 pages to start off with.
But don't say that.
So Mum keeps hitting him on the face gently to wake him up, to get him on his side, and it works. Mum slaps him on the cheek, he wakes up, and he turns onto his side. So Mum heads off to the kitchen, and I stay with Kevin. After about 5 minutes, Kevin turns back on his back. And me being 10 years old and being Mr. Cool think, it's okay, all I need to do is slap him on the cheek until he wakes up, and he'd turn onto his side. So off I go. And I start hitting him on the cheek. Soon I realise he's not waking up, so I hit him harder. And he's still not waking up, so I start hitting him on both cheeks. If Mum would have come in, it would have looked like Little Brother Revenge. But still nothing. I must have slapped his cheeks for nearly 5 minutes, until he eventually went, ow! I said, turn onto your side, and he does it. The next morning, a very delicate and puzzled Kevin comes into the living room and sits down on the couch and says, Jesus, my cheeks are wild sore. I feel like I went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. I remember somebody hitting me on the cheek really hard and telling me to turn on my side. Do you know who it was? And without even a flinch, I go, it was Mommy. 2 people have come together today to form a union that will surely last forever. Jennifer, you look absolutely beautiful. Kevin is lucky to have found you, and as are you to have found Kevin. Kevin is my brother, and I am honoured that he chose me to be his best man on this, his most important day of his life. I wish you both peace and happiness in your new life together, and may God bless you. May your love be modern enough to survive the times, and old-fashioned enough to last forever. The bridegroom.
Oh.
Okay, so before I end, they should still have their hands on each other. Now, in case you're wondering why I asked Kevin to place his hand on top of Jennifer's, I'll tell you now. Kevin, as my final role as your brother and best man, it is with great pleasure that I've been able to give you the last 10 minutes in which you will have the upper hand on Jennifer. It will almost certainly be your last. To the bride and groom, folks.